just prepared a short talk for you. Hope it won't be boring. I will try to make it interesting. So I will speak to you on discernment today. Discernment, and I have 4 points which will finish soon. By the time you think it is time, you don't need to see your watch. Without telling me when I said it will be maybe 15 minutes or so. So don't take much of your time. Just to share a little about my experience as I am speaking about discernment. All of you, there are many married people here, right? So how did you discern? And to be married, how did you discern, or are you going to discern this call that God has given you? Okay? So whether priest or religious or lay people or single, it is God's call. How it is. So as I was in my graduation, I loved a girl very much in my college in the graduation time. And so as we were going through this phase, that is a crisis period. Decide or that side. No? Decide or that side. You cannot be on either side, both sides, right? You have to be on one side. So reflecting on that, then slowly as we go into depth of it, it requires a lot of prayer, it requires silence, it requires to go in solitude. And that's how you're going to discern on this occasion. Slowly detach from that side and get attached to the other side, which is Christ. And it takes a bold decision. It takes a lot of courage to take the decision. Sometimes you have to give up what it's like. The body and the soul both are fighting, the spirit and the human. So there is an experience. Just few days back, youth like you all came to my office and he said, "Father, this is my short story I want to share with you." Okay, I studied here in Dubai, and then just as I finished my studies, that time I was in a situation where I didn't know whether to go ahead. Or the second part, I said, where you want to go ahead in the field of studies? Of course, there are many options here for you today. No, Father, I was thinking of joining the seminary. I said, very good. But I said, you take time, decisions come. You see, the results were out and so on. You take time to discern for yourself. That is how you are not going to decide haphazardly or abruptly or just, I want to join the seminary and I joined. Of course, he was matured enough, about the age of 30. But then today, during the last week, he met me and said, he is already in the seminary, joined. And I asked him, how do you feel? Father, it helped me really because when the 1 or 2 months that I was here in Dubai, I was fighting with my parents, not physically, but they were saying, are you really called to be a priest? And he was saying to them in silence, I am meditating on that. I am reflecting on that. And today he has done first year of his initial studies in the seminary, the formation, the spiritual, the prayer life, the meditation, and some subjects. So that is an example how God, when He calls us, chooses us, we have to give time. We cannot say, yes, I will immediately, because it takes time, no? And so, we have these 3 points, guidance to discern. That is what I say, how and from where, not only through me, through his parents, through the people, he was guided to discern his call in depth. So, much appreciated the group that you carry on. I felt good when I entered inside because all were closing eyes, they were praying. Really, that is what is required today. I am coming to that point much ahead, okay? So, once you are in the meditation to go in depth into that, that is how you are going to make sure that it is the call where God calls you. Even if it is not, then you will be told like me, So, loving the person, and then somewhere God speaks and says, you are not called for this life. You are called for this life, wherein you have to give up all that you follow, leave your people and follow me, So that is how God speaks to us. I went to the holy places in last days, 2 weeks. Some of you know, being to France, Lourdes, it is very nice there and fascinating. It's awesome. You have to spend there at least a week. I would say it is less a week. To be there and feel the vibrations there, to stay in that place is very cool and calm. But within 2 days we managed to, because it's a pilgrimage, you have to hurry up and go ahead. So from there we went to Assisi. The last was in Italy, where we went. Our founder, Father Francis, Saint Francis of Assisi. And to go in that place also, we heard much about him. Even Franciscanism we studied, but we had never been there. That is because I came here, I had the opportunity to go in that place. And so, going there, reflecting, we also saw the movie and the documentary, how it is shown certain things there. How God called him. You know what happened? Francis of Assisi, he was the son of a very wealthy man. How God made or brought a change in his life. He wanted to be a knight. He wanted to gain the whole world. He wanted to be the richest. He wanted to have the name and fame in life. But some way he sees the situation around. What is that? He goes and sees, the crucifix at San Damiano speaks to him. We have the Franciscan cross. Wherein on the cross, Jesus Christ came alive. And he spoke to him, Francis, go and build my church. But this, as we hear the call through different people, Jesus spoke to him, but then he understood, going and building the church was, San Damiano, where he appeared, was a dilapidated church. The stones were falling. It was going to ruins. And the next thing he does quickly is start building with the stones. Okay? He builds the stone, the church of stones. But then that was not the call for Francis. Of course, he did it by stone, day by day, the song. If you've seen the Brother Sun, Sister Moon, the movie, how he builds it. And then one more brother joins him. It's how he begins the call that God had given him. But then later he understood. If you see the society and the history during that time, there were a lot of, worldly things going on. Eat, drink, pleasure, and make merry, all these things. And there were lepers, there were poor people, they were marginalized, there were people losing their faith. And in this scenario, Saint Francis was there. What God was exactly asking him was slowly to build the church, that is to get the people back to God. That is to win souls for Him. First, okay? That is how he realized in that is what he was called for. And slowly he changes his life. He goes to the lepers. When one fine day he sees Saint Clare, going with bread to the lepers, and where they were very far, ostracized, far from this city or society. And she goes and feeds them. She calls, brothers, lepers, come. Oh, brothers, And Francis sees them hidingly because he cannot stand that. How? Because he is from a rich family. How can this person go and stay with the lepers? They were smelling foul and festering, right? But then slowly that is the conversion which takes place. And how he lives his life and he gives up everything in his family and he says, now today onwards, I have no Peter Bernardoni as my father, but my Father is in heaven. So I will call my Father in heaven as my Father. That is how the first step he discerned into his life. That is the first point. How he was guided by the Spirit. Okay. The second point is silence and solitude. If we go to this place, even till today, we have a lot of peace there. Of course, in the city places and market, it is crowded. But why and how that is, how Saint Francis of Assisi managed to go in this. See, you cannot be in a marketplace and, be cool, of course. But I would say my professor would always say, anyone can disturb you externally, noise, internal silence, nobody can disturb you. Why it happened? Because one fine day, there was a music played in a seminary. Early morning, they used to wish the priest or something, And then we were passing through that priest door, And early morning we asked him, Father, you got disturbed because 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock we were singing happy birthday to the priest. He said, yeah, outside external noise cannot disturb the internal silence we have. It may disturb the external silence. That is what happened in the life of St. Francis. Internally he was in touch with God. And being in solitude and silence is very important if you are going to discern in what you do. Whatever it is, name it. Your work, your office, your family, your call to be a priest and so religious or lay, it's a call. If you are really going to take decisions and discern on whatever you want to, you have to take time to reflect. You have to be in solitude. You have to be by yourself. Jesus went on the mount, right? Early morning, late evening, he was by himself. What he was doing? He was in touch with God, his Father. That is the second point. So, God speaks to us in silence. And if we want to hear God, we also have to stop speaking. Otherwise, we speak and we will not hear God. So, silence, what it means is God speaks to us in silence. God speaks today to us through the nature, through the breeze, through the plants, through the animals, through the creation. That is how in solitude and in silence we encounter and discern more in depth our call. So, then we know in the Bible we have the call of Samuel, right? What he says. He goes running, when God calls him, he goes running and he says to Eli, his master, why did you call me? Or did you call me? No, once or twice he said, no, I did not call you. But then Eli realizes, this boy has been called by God. And so I have to teach him, help him to discern how. So he says, when once again the Lord calls you, say, speak Lord, your servant is listening. Right? Something like that. So then he is ready and prepared. That is how we hear the voice.